Moscow's sense of safety is crumbling. Dawn reveals the true extent of the recent attack. Despite claims from the regional governor that everything is under control, whispers and social media posts paint a different picture. Chaos, confusion, and vulnerability seep through the cracks. In Shatora, home to 33,000 residents, the power plant is the lifeblood of daily life. It heats countless homes and sustains vital infrastructure. When it was struck, fears soared of a devastating cascade, collapsing systems, widespread blackouts, a nightmare scenario unfolding right at Moscow's doorstep. And it did. The region's heating was knocked out. Imagine the freezing cold, plummeting below zero, locking towns in icy silence. Ukraine's strikes turned Russia's own winter weapon against it, bringing the chilling agony they inflicted on Kiev onto Moscow's outskirts. Emergency mobile heaters were hurriedly sent in, but think about it, how does a nation branded as an energy superpower now depend on makeshift generators just a few kilometers from its heart? This isn't just about a 1,500 megawatt loss. It's a gaping wound in an already overstressed power grid. Fluctuations ripple through the system, sudden outages, instability, uncertainty. Moscow trembles. The question burning in many minds, how could Ukrainian drones penetrate such formidable defenses? How did they reach the core of the capital, unchallenged? The answer exposes a shocking truth, one that threatens to shatter the illusion of invincibility. Vladimir Putin swore that Moscow was the world's most protected city. Just months ago. Layered defenses like the Panzer S-1 air defense systems were mounted around key government buildings, including his own residence. They were supposed to be invulnerable, designed to intercept even the most advanced aircraft, like the stealthy F-35. Yet, these drones, introduced from the Ukrainian border, slow, propeller-driven, seemingly incapable of bypassing the mighty S-400, managed to cover more than 500 kilometers and trespass Russian airspace as if it were a highway. How is this possible? The answer lies in the overlooked vulnerabilities, blind spots, and the weaknesses embedded deep within Moscow's supposedly impenetrable shield. What secrets are hidden in those gaps? How could natural barriers and layered defenses be bypassed so easily? The answers are more alarming than anyone anticipated, hinting at a strategic vulnerability that could transform the entire security landscape. The question remains, who discovered these gaps, and will they now be exploited? Yesterday, Moscow was full of hope, believing the skies over the city were protected. Today, that illusion shattered. Instead of sunlight, smoke now blankets the skyline. The intoxicating smell of burning metal fills the air. The frost bites deeper as the city's heart, its power grid, lies in ruins. The cold, relentless winter has turned into a weapon wielded by unseen enemies. How did it all go so wrong? Questions echo through the Russian corridors. Why weren't the drones intercepted at the border? How could Moscow be so vulnerable? The Kremlin is silent. Their officials scramble to explain, claiming only 75 of these low-flying aircraft were shot down. But who believes them? The people aren't focused on the numbers. They see the city lights flickering, hear the distant hum of sirens, and remember that one drone, the one that changed everything. It hit its mark. It lit up the night sky like a fiery omen. That single strike shattered the myth of invincibility. Thousands of us lied in darkness. This attack on November 23 marks a pivotal moment. Not just another military strike, but a deliberate blow to Russia's core. Ukraine's forces have reached into Moscow's very soul, its energy arteries, with a precision that defies belief. They targeted the Shatura power plant, a relic built in the 1920s during Lenin's electrification drive. A facility responsible for over 20% of Moscow's electricity. Imagine that. When the plant was hit, a third of the city's homes suddenly felt the cold bite harder. The threat of system collapse loomed. Emergency generators sputtered to life as power vanished. The time-honored myth in Moscow was that their defenses were unbreakable. Yet, the truth is stark. The S-400 systems, symbolizing Russian technological might, were meant to make invulnerability a certainty. Designed to track and destroy high-altitude missiles and fast jets, they look up, not down. But the drones? They fly low, flowing beneath radar horizons. Like silent shadows skimming treetops, they slip past the radar's dull senses, turning the mighty defenses into mere illusions of protection. The vulnerability is undeniable. The entire city, supposedly guarded by the most advanced systems, now looks exposed. Airports like Vnukovo and Zhukovsky are shutting down, flights grounded. Their air defenses are rendered irrelevant. Moscow's energy infrastructure, the backbone of the city, lies in shards, and with it, the illusion of security shatters. How could these slow-moving, plastic propeller drones cross hundreds of kilometers, evade layered defenses, and reach the heart of the Russian capital? The answer lies in one thing: the cracks and blind spots in Russia's layered defense architecture. A fortress built on Cold War logic, focusing on high-altitude threats, can't see threats skimming close to the ground. The current situation is disturbing. The high-tech systems meant to repel intruders are no match for low-flying drones. Meanwhile, Moscow's skies are eerily quiet now. The once bustling airports, like Vnukovo and Zhukovsky, are dark and silent, their runways empty. Flights suspended, infrastructure crippled. And all this despite Russia's attempts to sell advanced air defense to distant allies. Like Venezuela. Their own capital, their own power, exposed in a moment's fragility. This is a profound failure, a blow to Russia's reputation as a technological power on the global stage. The impact isn't just technical. It's deeply psychological. The flames at Shatura burn brighter than any official lie. They reveal that Moscow's invincibility is an illusion. The lights flickering, the city shivering, these are signs of a shaking confidence. How could this happen? How could drones, so primitive yet deadly, breach the most secure zone? The Kremlin is trying to spin a story that only 75 drones were shot down. But the citizens see beyond numbers. They see the city's glow cut out, the silence in the streets, the reality that war has come home. The image of a city in darkness is more powerful than any propaganda. This attack on Moscow is more than a material strike. It signals a shifting balance. Ukraine's forces have struck at Russia's very nerve, its stability, its pride. Moscow, once believed to be fortified, now feels exposed. The myth of the S-400 as an impenetrable barrier is drowning in smoke and debris. And winter in Russia? It promises to be colder, darker, more relentless than ever before. The city's lights flicker uncertainly. The Kremlin's strategies are crumbling into chaos, their defenses reduced to shadows. Meanwhile, Ukraine's position grows stronger, especially as negotiations loom on the horizon. But this isn't just a tactical advantage, it's a calculated power move. A means to influence the diplomatic game before the storm of peace talks. The winds of change are blowing in Washington. With the return of a major political figure and renewed hopes of ending the conflict. But within Putin's circle, a different narrative takes shape, one of surrender, of broken plans. The president has been preparing a peace proposal, a document wrapped in shadows and deception. He claims that by capturing 20% of Ukraine, cutting off its energy supply, and leaving its capital vulnerable, he has secured victory. He's been asserting that unless Kiev accepts his terms, they will be erased, wiped clean from maps and memories. Yet, the truth is harsher. That plan is a bluff, a desperate attempt to mask the reality: Russia's vulnerabilities exposed, and Moscow's defenses faltering. In this moment of chaos and uncertainty, the question remains: who is truly in control? As winter's grip tightens, and the city's lights flicker like dying stars, the question lingers. Will Moscow recover? Or is this the beginning of a new, darker chapter where shadows reign and illusions vanish? The true story is just beginning to unfold. Imagine a city where the lights flicker and die, plunging the capital into an icy darkness. Could this be the turning point where Vladimir Putin's claims of invincibility crumble? This weekend, Moscow faced an unprecedented crisis, fire lighting up the heart of Russia's energy core, revealing cracks in a fortress believed unbreakable. As flames consumed the Shatura power plant, the myth of Russian superiority began to burn along with it. This isn't just about a power station catching fire, it's a strategic blow aimed at Russia's very soul. The attack on Shatura, responsible for over 20% of Moscow's electricity, wasn't random. It was a calculated move from Kiev, striking at the heart of Moscow's stability. The message? No matter how powerful the supposed defenses, low-flying drones can breach the thickest armor. The entire city, teetering on the brink of winter's harshest fury, found itself vulnerable and exposed. How could an enemy's plastic-propelled drones cross hundreds of kilometers of protected airspace with such ease? The answer lies in the overlooked chinks in Russia's armor, its blind spots and outdated tactics that no modern defense system can fully cover. Vladimir Putin swore Moscow was the most protected city on earth. Yet, on Sunday morning, the illusion shattered. The S-400s, mounted atop government buildings, touted as impenetrable, failed to intercept these slow, seemingly harmless drones. How could they have flown over 500 kilometers and slipped past defenses meant to guard the Kremlin itself? The truth cuts deep. These low-flying threats exploit gaps in radar and missile coverage. Riding low beneath the watchful eyes of high-altitude weapons. Russia's grand defense systems, designed to shoot down high-flying jets and ballistic missiles, are cobwebs against these elusive, slow-moving enemies. As the flames grew, so did the chaos. Moscow's once celebrated technological might was revealed as fragile illusion. Airports suspended flights, power flickered and died. The city, so proud of its mighty defenses, now stood exposed, powerless, vulnerable. Citizens shivered in their homes, no heat, no light, no hope. Imagine walking through frozen streets, feeling the biting wind through cracked windows, knowing the backbone of your city is breaking apart. The attack on Shatura wasn't just about electricity, it was a psychological strike aimed squarely at Putin's fragile grip on power. But perhaps the most unsettling truth was reserved for Putin's inner circle, his wealthy oligarch allies. Their luxurious villas, heated pools, and private factories rely on the very power now threatened. The message? No matter how deep your pockets, if your home is cold and dark, your wealth is meaningless. The attack is a warning. The same drone strikers that bypassed the defenses are also targeting the political and economic elite who support the regime. They're planting a bomb beneath Putin's coalition, an unspoken threat that his own ruling class may soon turn on him if Moscow's lights remain dark for too long. Think about it, every flickering bulb and every icy breath whispers a stark truth. Moscow's invincibility, once thought unbreakable, is crumbling before our eyes. The once-lauded air defense systems are no match for a swarm of low-flying drones that turn the city's own sky into an open battlefield. This is a new era of warfare where even the mightiest fortress can be breached by something as simple as a plastic propeller. What does this mean for Vladimir Putin? That his empire of illusions is cracking. That his war of dominance is turning into a desperate game of smoke and mirrors. And as winter's grip tightens, it's clear, this attack marks a turning point. Moscow's flickering lights symbolize a regime trembling on the edge. While Kiev shows resilience and ingenuity, Russia's proud defenses prove increasingly ineffective. The question hangs heavy in the cold air: how much longer can the Kremlin pretend to be invincible when low-cost drones can threaten its very existence? The darkness in Moscow is no longer just about winter, it's about the crumbling of a power myth built on illusions. The burning of the Shatura power plant isn't just an attack, it's a warning shot echoing through the corridors of power, signaling that Russia's unbreakable fortress is finally starting to crack. Vladimir Putin aimed to freeze Ukraine in the coldest months, hoping to crush its spirit through winter's chill. But Kiev turned that plan into ash, igniting a fiery resistance that shattered his illusions. Now, as Moscow's power flickers and the lights dwindle, the strength of the Kremlin hangs by a fragile thread. The dream of dominance is burning away, replaced by a stark reality. Truth is emerging from the smoke. We will keep uncovering the hidden truths and deepening the analysis of this unfolding chaos. Your insights and reactions are vital as we navigate this turning point together. Thank you for being part of this story. Even if Western missiles are needed, a world war remains avoided. No nuclear war has broken out. Yet, this single attack has crippled Putin's image of strength. This turn of events might prompt Western advisors to reassess. Could it mean Russia's so-called red lines are nothing but bluffs? The landscape is shifting fast. If Putin cannot even safeguard his own capital, how can he impose conditions on others? This strike shattered Putin's myth of dominance through escalation. To him, threats meant retaliation. If you hurt me, I'll hurt you more. But now, Moscow's silence reveals a different story. The giant city, once thought secure, is vulnerable. Put simply, Putin's so-called strategic response is weak. Striking civilians in Donbass or killing innocents isn't enough anymore. True retaliation would mean crippling Ukraine's military power. Yet, paradoxically, Ukraine's defenses are growing stronger. Their reach extends now up to 120 kilometers, the distance to Moscow itself. Putin's claim of control is crumbling. Power is no longer in his hands. It's in the tiny, buzzing drone sneaking through the dark sky. But let's face the brutal truth. With this attack, Ukraine declared a form of asymmetric war that targets Russia's vitality, its energy. Unlike Russia, armed with hundreds of cruise missiles, ballistic weapons, and massive bombers, Ukraine possesses something different. Small, inexpensive drones flying in swarms, almost invisible to Russian radars. These tiny assassins can take down giant power plants, refineries, and infrastructure. Putin's hope was to force Zelensky into negotiations by destroying Ukraine's energy supplies. Yet, instead, Ukraine turned the tables. The attack on Shatura transformed the conflict from a mere war into energetic chaos. It's not about nuclear fear, but freezing cold homes across Russia. If Ukraine's people freeze, Moscow and other cities will follow. The hidden message? Putin's grand ambition to wage a patriotic war is now intertwined with his personal greed. The explosion at Shatura proved this war isn't just political, it's about survival in winter's icy grip. How long before Russia's power grid shatters completely under this relentless pressure? The answer lies in the darkness creeping over Moscow's once unbreakable defenses. The game is changing, and control is slipping away from those who thought they held it. Moscow is no longer safe from the chaos of war. Now, it faces a direct assault on its energy core. The city's nerves are fraying as darkness and cold settle in. Imagine the silence broken only by the crackling flames and distant sirens. The very heart of Russia's capital is under attack. Why now? What was the true target? This is no random strike, this is calculated revenge. On the same day, Russia launched 98 military aircraft towards Ukraine. More than half were Shahed drones. They targeted civilian neighborhoods, homes in Dnipro, markets in Zaporizhia. Children injured, families traumatized. Vladimir Putin's strategy? Clear. For 3 years, his plan has been to break Ukraine's will, cut off electricity, water, heat, keep the people shackled by winter's cold. But November 23 marked a turning point. The rules shifted. Ukraine no longer plays defensively. Now, it fights back with a calculated energy war. Its target? A symbol of Russian power, Shatura power plant, GRES-VE built in the 1920s during Lenin's electrification push, this facility is an energy titan. It supplies over 20% of Moscow's electricity. A single strike there isn't just about knocking out power, it's psychological warfare. A direct message, we can cripple your lifeline without firing a single missile. A vast, unstoppable fire simmers on the horizon, 120 kilometers from the Kremlin. Why target Shatura? Because it's not just a transformer station. It's a fortress of Russian energy. Ukrainian forces bypass military targets, aim instead at what keeps Moscow alive. This isn't just an attack, it's a bold statement. If you keep blitzing Ukraine, we'll turn your city into darkness. And Putin's obsession with continuing this war? It's what sealed Moscow's fate. As dawn breaks, the impact is visible. The first light reveals what was lost. The city's pulse falters. Governor Vorobyov claims calmness, control, yet social media and locals tell a different story. Outside, 33,000 residents of Shatura faced the threat of catastrophe. The power plant's damage risked a domino collapse, leaving entire communities shivering in the cold. Imagine it, families wrapping themselves in blankets, desperately trying to preserve what little warmth remains. The cold bites through their skin. Emergency heaters are brought in, but can they replace the massive energy flow? This attack has torn a hole in Moscow's fragile grid, causing widespread fluctuations. Urban life hangs in balance, teetering on the edge of blackout. The question now echoes through underground tunnels and city streets: how did Ukrainian drones penetrate Moscow's defenses? The answer reveals systemic flaws. The most sophisticated air defense systems, S-400s and S-300s, were designed to shoot down high-flying jets and ballistic missiles. They stare skyward, built for the Cold War. But these enemy threats? They fly low, arming themselves with plastic propellers, skimming the treetops, invisible to radar. Russian radars are tuned to detect speed, altitude, high-altitude threats. But low-flying drones are a different enemy. They slip through the cracks, small targets where the armor is weakest. Ukraine's swarm of small, slow-moving drones is like a hive of bees stabbing at the joints of the fortress. The momentary gaps in Moscow's defenses have been exploited. The irony? The very city claiming unrivaled protection, the pinnacle of Russian military tech, found itself vulnerable. Airports like Vnukovo and Zhukovsky shut down. Commercial flights halted. The nation's own energy giants, selling their missile systems abroad, cannot defend their capital anymore. The myth of invincibility crumbles amidst the smoke of shattered turbines. The flames in Shatora symbolize more than destruction, they expose a lie that everything is under control. The fire reveals the cracks in Putin's narrative. War, once a distant television spectacle, now smashes at Moscow's windows. Citizens look outside, smoke rises, and they feel the icy grip of fear. The silence is deafening. They shiver, the radiators grow cold. The promise of immunity from war? Vanishing. Russian telegrams and social channels ignite with questions: where is our air defense? How did these drones get so far? Why is Moscow so exposed? The Kremlin offers hollow explanations, boasting about 75 drones shot down, but the truth is cruel. One drone hit its mark, igniting the city in chaos. That single strike shattered every illusion of safety. This event marks a turning chapter in the Ukraine conflict. Ukraine has struck at Moscow's core, its heart of power and pride. The city is no longer shielded, it is vulnerable. Putin wanted to throw darkness over Kiev, yet now, his capital is under shadow, surrounded by flickering lights and fear. The myth of the impenetrable S-400 systems? Drowned in smoke and flames from Shatora. The severe cold outside mirrors Moscow's frozen security. Winter promises to be colder, darker, more unforgiving than ever imagined. The lights flicker, an ominous warning of a deeper darkness to come. Amidst the ash and smoke, the geopolitical scene shifts. Ukraine's boldness might be the first crack in Moscow's armor. While Putin's war machine struggles with its own vulnerabilities, it's clear that the battle isn't just on the front lines, it's within the heart of Russia's power. The real question remains: how much longer can their illusion of invincibility survive? Moscow woke up on a bitter Sunday morning not to the gentle glow of sunlight but to the ominous flicker of flames. The city, once believed to be protected by an invincible steel dome, now faces the reality that its defenses may have cracks. Imagine the shock: fires raging near the heart of power, smoke billowing into a winter sky. How could this happen? Could the very fortress designed to shield Moscow be vulnerable after all? The answer is startling. Let's delve deeper. The attack on the Shatura power plant wasn't a random strike. It was meticulously calculated, a deliberate blow aimed straight at the core of Russian energy and psyche. This once untouchable facility supplies more than 20% of Moscow's electricity. Its destruction, or even disruption, threatens to plunge the entire city into chaos. The lights flicker faint, uncertain, mirroring the faltering confidence within Kremlin walls. What does this mean for a city that was told for years it was armored, untouchable? Could a single drone, an unsophisticated plastic propeller craft, shatter the myth of Russian invincibility? Now, consider the technology meant to protect Moscow. The most advanced air defense systems, boasting billion-dollar price tags, are designed to destroy high-flying, fast-moving threats. Systems like the S-400 and Panzer S-1 are supposed to hunt down even stealth aircraft. Yet these drones, initially dismissed as harmless, bypass the mighty shields and invade the city's airspace. How is that possible? An unsettling revelation emerges: weak spots, overlooked and ignored, in Russia's security network. The answer lies in the design of these defenses. They were built during the Cold War for a different era, focused on high-altitude, high-speed threats. But low-flying objects, drones that skim treetops, slip beneath their radar. The advanced radars, costing millions, are optimized to detect missiles from above, not slow, modest propellers below. It's as if the shields are wearing cumbersome armor, unable to adapt to the agility of these tiny enemies. Meanwhile, Ukrainian drones swarm like bees, exploiting these vulnerable gaps, turning Moscow's dense defense network into little more than a sieve. Recent attacks exemplified this vulnerability. Not only was the power plant hit, but airports like Vnukovo and Zhukovsky have been forced to shut down, halting flights and crippling civil aviation. Flights suspended, emergency generators activated, yet Moscow's core infrastructure teeters on the brink of collapse. All this while Russia peddles its advanced air defense systems abroad, touting their invincibility to nations like Venezuela. How tragic if you cannot safeguard your own city, how convincing is your image as a technological superpower? As dawn breaks over the city, the true impact becomes painfully clear. Fires continue to burn. Smoke stains the sky, direct evidence that Putin's assurances are hollow. The flames from Shatura prove one thing: the grand narrative that everything is proceeding smoothly in the so-called special military operation is, at best, a lie. The reality hits home: war is no longer just distant news, it's on Moscow's doorstep. People ignore diplomatic statements, they see their homes cold, their streets filled with smoke. Could the very security systems meant to protect the ruling elite be falling apart? And if so, what does this mean for the future of Russia's most fortified city? The question remains: how did Ukraine's modest drones penetrate the heart of Moscow? What Achilles heel has Russia failed to secure? The answer is found in the overlooked corners of its defenses. The low-flying drones exploit blind spots, areas unreachable by high-altitude radars, sneaking through corridors of vulnerability. They use Russia's own extensive airspace like a highway, covering over 500 kilometers with ease. Why weren't they intercepted at the border? Why is Moscow now defenseless despite their supposed technological supremacy? The Kremlin's silence is deafening. Instead of answers, they try to spin a narrative claiming they downed only 75 of the incoming drones. But these numbers matter little. The real story is that even a single drone managed to ignite a city and shatter illusions of invulnerability. The damage is done. The myth of their technological dominance is drowning in smoke from the destroyed power plant. This attack marks a turning point, a brutal reminder that Russia's most critical vulnerabilities lie hidden in plain sight. The war's narrative is shifting. Ukraine has hit a nerve, its message clear and compelling: the shields are fallible. As Moscow flickers in darkness, the once unassailable city is now shrouded in uncertainty. The question lingers: how will Russia respond to this new reality? And what secrets lie behind the Kremlin's supposed fortress walls? Even when the world hesitated to escalate with Western missiles or ignite nuclear weapons, a single daring attack managed to unravel Vladimir Putin's once untouchable image. This assault not only damaged his reputation but shattered the myth of Russia's invincibility. With that blow, the secure facade of Moscow flickered like a dying light, sending shockwaves through Kremlin corridors. What will Putin's next move be? If Moscow can't even shield its own capital, who truly holds the power? The recent strike in Ukraine has cast doubt on Putin's claim of dominance. For years, he proclaimed that any harm to Russia would be met with overwhelming retaliation, a show of strength that kept others at bay. Yet, here in the heart of Moscow, resilience crumbled. The attack on the Shatura power plant, an ancient symbol of Russia's energy might, proved otherwise. This was no ordinary strike. Instead of targeting military installations, Ukraine hit at the core of Russian life support, the very pulse of electricity fueling the city. Unlike Putin's calculated threats of brute force, Ukraine's message echoed loudly: if you freeze us, we will make you freeze too. The attack exposed the fragile myth of Russia's unmatched military response. But what truly shocked was the distance, over 500 kilometers from Ukraine's border to Moscow's center. How could these drones, modest and slow, cross such vast space undetected? The answer lies in the unnoticed loopholes of Russia's defenses. Its advanced S-400 systems, designed to shoot down fast-moving jets and ballistic missiles, are blind to the low-flying, slow propellers that glide beneath their radar's reach. These tiny attackers, like swarms of miserable insects, slip through the cracks of Russia's night armor, attacking vital infrastructure with precision. The result? An unprecedented crippling of Moscow's energy arteries. Power outages spun chaos into the daily life of millions. The once indomitable Kremlin faced trembling uncertainty. Flights cancelled at key airports, cold air creeping into homes, a taste of the harsh winter Putin's own policies handed to his people. The attack wasn't just energetic sabotage, it was a psychological assault. And yet, the most startling revelation was the failure of Russia's supposed shields. Vladimir Putin flaunted shoulder-mounted S-400 systems around government buildings and even his residences. In theory, these defenses could clear the sky of any threat. So how could drones, launching from Ukraine and traveling over 500 kilometers, breach this mighty armor? The answer is chilling gaps, blind spots, and obsolete strategies rooted in Cold War thinking. The Russian defense architecture, designed to shoot down high-flying, fast-moving objects, is as effective as a sieve against low-altitude threats. Ukrainian drones, flying beneath the radar's horizon, evade detection altogether. They're like agile insects crawling through the cracks of a fortress, invisible and deadly. A nation that boasts of its technological dominance now finds itself vulnerable, its reputation tarnished by this ruthless breach. Meanwhile, the damage isn't just physical. It strikes at Russia's pride, its confidence, its claimed technological supremacy. Air traffic at major airports is suspended. Power plants are crippled, causing widespread uncertainty. How did these slow-moving drones traverse Russian skies so close to Moscow itself? Many ask, could Russia's mighty S-400 system be so blind? Or is this another fatal flaw in its supposedly impregnable defenses? Behind the scenes, the political landscape trembles. The Kremlin's narrative is unraveling. They claim to have shot down dozens of drones, but the truth is undeniable. The city's brightness flickers, reminding many that the mighty fortress of Moscow isn't as secure as it claims. People feel the chilling reality creeping into their homes, cold, dark, uncertain. And then there's the broader picture. Ukraine's strike isn't just a tactical success, it's a profound psychological victory. It's a warning that the narrative of Russia's invincibility, carefully crafted for years, is crumbling beneath the glow of flickering lights. Control, once believed to be absolute, now seems just out of reach. The question remains, how much longer can Russia pretend its defenses are impenetrable? This massive breach at Chatura signals more than just a tactical victory, it marks a turning point. Moscow's assurances of safety vanish in smoke and sparks of the burning power station. The city's silent, icy streets hold the echo of a different war, one fought not with bombs, but with unseen, whispering drones. The Kremlin's myth of unbreakable control is drowning in a flood of sparks, leaving Russia's capital shrouded in shadow. As winter's grip tightens, the cold reality dawns. From days of assured dominance to nights of uncertainty, Russia's security appears increasingly fragile. The country's once proud energy fortress has fallen, and in its place, the chilling whisper of vulnerability echoes louder than ever. The question now is, how will Putin respond? Will he fortify his defenses or risk further exposure? Time alone will tell, but one thing is clear, the darkness around Moscow is deeper than anyone expected. Moscow is no longer a fortress immune to the chaos of war. Now, it faces a direct assault on its very lifelines, its energy infrastructure. The city's calm, a fragile veneer, shatters as the flickering glow of flames flickers against the darkening sky, punctuated only by distant sirens and the harsh crackle of emergency broadcasts. The heart of Russia's capital is under attack. Why now? What was the real target behind this devastation? This is no accidental strike, it's calculated revenge. On the same day, Russian forces launched 98 military aircraft toward Ukraine, over half were Shahed drones. Their purpose? Attacking civilian zones, homes in Dnipro, markets in Zaporizhia, injuring children, traumatizing families. Vladimir Putin's long-standing plan? Clear. For 3 years, he aimed to crush Ukraine's spirit, starve it of electricity, water, and heat, forcing chaos into winter's cold grip. But November 23 shifted everything. Ukraine no longer plays the role of passive victim. Now, it strikes back, targeting Moscow's core. The chosen target is the Chatura power plant, Gresvy, an ancient titan of energy, built in the 1920s under Lenin's electrification campaign. It's not just a power station, it's a symbol of Russian resilience. Supplying over 20% of the city's electricity, a strike there isn't merely about blackouts. It's a psychological blow, an undeniable message: we can cripple your lifeline without firing a single missile. A vast, ominous fire smolders just 120 kilometers from the Kremlin, casting an unnatural glow over the winter night. Why focus on Chatura? Because it's more than infrastructure, it's the city's heartbeat. Losing it means plunging Moscow into darkness. The attack was meticulously aimed at what keeps the metropolis alive: its power, its industry, its stability. Ukrainian forces bypassed military targets, instead aiming at what sustains the city's existence. This isn't just an attack, it's a bold declaration. If you continue pressing us, we'll turn your city into an eternal shadow. Putin's obsession with total war is what sealed Moscow's vulnerability. As dawn approaches, the damage is undeniable. The first light reveals the chaos: burned-out transformers, smoke billowing in the cold air. Social media is alive with panic. While the governor claims control, locals whisper of blackout threats. In Chhatora, 33,000 residents face a crisis. The damage risks a domino effect: system collapse, widespread freezing, desperation. Families bundle themselves tighter, clutching blankets against the piercing cold. Midnight temperatures drop below freezing. Emergency heaters are hurriedly dispatched, yet can they replace the massive energy influx? The attack didn't just cut power, it tore a gaping hole in Moscow's fragile grid. Outages flicker through the city, urban life hangs on a thin thread. The question echoes across the cold night: how did Ukrainian drones penetrate Moscow's defenses? The answer exposes systemic flaws in Russia's military architecture. The most advanced air defense S-400s, S-300s, were designed for high-altitude, fast-moving threats. Their purpose? Fight jets and ballistic missiles, targets aimed high above. But Ukraine's stealthy drones? They fly low, skimming treetops. Below radars reach tiny targets for radars tuned to detect speed and altitude, not slow, low-flying craft. This swarm of plastic propeller drones, small and slow, exploits those blind spots. They slip past the armor like bees stinging the joints of a fortress. Moscow's supposedly impregnable defense network? It's shown to be nothing more than a sieve. Airports like Vnukovo and Zhukovsky are now closed, flights cancelled, civil aviation halted. Meanwhile, Russia's own energy industry, selling missile systems abroad, proves defenseless in its own capital. The myth of invincibility? Crumbling amid the acrid smoke of burned turbines and shattered structures. That fire in Chhatora signifies more than destruction, it exposes the hollow illusion of control. It shreds Putin's narrative: war is not a distant threat anymore. Today, the citizens of Moscow see smoke rising, watch the flickering lights grow dim, their comfortable lives slipping away. Fear replaces complacency. The radiators grow cold. The promise of immunity? A lie. Russian telegrams overflow with questions: where is our protection? How did these drones penetrate so deep? Why is Moscow vulnerable? Hollow claims of shooting down 75 drones ring false. The truth is crueler. One drone, just a single one, hit its mark, igniting chaos, lighting up the city with flames and smoke. That single strike shatters the illusion of safety. It signals a profound shift in the war, a major blow to Moscow's invincibility. Ukraine has struck at the very core of Russian power. Its city of darkness now stands as a symbol, proof that even the most fortified capital can fall. Moscow's grand myth of the impenetrable S-400 is drowned out by fire and smoke. Winter's biting cold outside mirrors Moscow's frozen defenses, laid bare. The cold promises a winter darker and more brutal than anyone imagined. Lights flicker, an ominous warning of things to come. Amidst the ashen wreckage, the geopolitical landscape shifts. Ukraine's audacity could be the first cracks in Moscow's armor, an opening for confrontation rather than pacification. While Putin's war machine struggles with its own vulnerabilities, the true battle is now fought within Russia's core. How much longer can their illusion of strength survive? This is a turning point, one where darkness descends on Moscow, and the illusions of invincibility come crashing down. The flames burn brighter than ever, signaling a new era of uncertainty, resilience, and upheaval. Moscow awoke on a cold Sunday morning not to sunlight, but to the ominous glow of flames. Smoke billowed into the winter sky, casting an eerie glow over the city's iconic skyline. Once confident in its invincibility, the city now faced an unsettling truth: its defenses had cracks. How could fires rage near the heart of power? Could the very fortress believed to shield Moscow be vulnerable? The answer shocks even the most hardened observers. This wasn't a random strike. It was a calculated attack, targeting the core of Russia's energy infrastructure, the Chhatora power plant. This giant supplies over 20% of the city's electricity, a vital lifeline. Now, it's burning. Even a partial disruption spells chaos. Lights flicker, uncertain, flickering shadows mirroring the crumbling confidence inside Kremlin walls. What does this mean for a city convinced of its impregnable strength? Could a simple drone, built with plastic and propeller blades, shatter the myth of Russian power? Next, consider the technology meant to protect Moscow. The most advanced defense systems, priced in billions, are designed to hunt high-speed, high-altitude threats. The S-400 and Panzer S-1 were supposed to be unbeatable, capable of intercepting even stealth aircraft. Yet, these tiny drones, from a place seemingly beyond their reach, slipped through and invaded the capital's airspace. How is this possible? The terrifying truth emerges: there are vulnerabilities in Russia's security web. Built during the Cold War, these defenses target fast, high-altitude enemies, missiles, jets, things flying above radar. But drones, small, slow, low-flying, skim beneath their detection range. Radars designed to spot missiles at great heights ignore objects hugging the ground. It's as if Russia's armor is too heavy, too rigid to detect these subtle intruders. Meanwhile, Ukrainian drones, much like a swarm of bees, exploit these gaps, turning Moscow's supposedly impenetrable defense into a fragile sieve. Recent attacks show the extent of this weakness. Not only was the power plant struck, but airports like Vnukovo and Zhukovsky have shut down, halting flights and crippling civil flights. Emergency generators roar to life, but the city's vital infrastructure teeters on the edge of collapse. And here's the irony: Russia boasts of its S-400 systems worldwide, claiming they are virtually undefeatable. Yet, their own capital is now vulnerable. If Moscow's defenses are so powerless, how can they persuade other nations to trust their technology? As dawn approaches, the damage becomes undeniable. Fires still blaze, smoke stains the sky. The glow of destruction belies Kremlin promises of total control. The flames from the shattered power plant scream the truth: Putin's assurances are hollow. The grand story of successful operations is crumbling amidst the ashes. War, which once seemed distant and abstract, is now knocking on Moscow's door. Families wake to cold homes, streets shrouded in smoke. Could the guardians meant to keep the ruling elite safe be failing? And what does this bode for Russia's most fortified city? Now, the shocking question: how did Ukrainian drones, with crude tech, penetrate over 500 kilometers of Russian airspace? How did they navigate through the supposedly impregnable defenses? The answer lives in hidden flaws, blind spots intentional or overlooked, that allow these tiny devices to slip inside corridors of vulnerability. They didn't fly high above the radar, they skimmed below it, exploiting gaps in the system's design. These drones use Russia's own airspace as a highway, covering vast distances with ease. Why weren't they intercepted at the border? Why does Moscow seem defenseless despite its high-tech reputation? The silence from the Kremlin is deafening. Instead of answers, they spin stories, claiming they shot down only 75 of the incoming drones. But these figures are meaningless. One drone, just one, was enough to ignite a fire in the heart of the city and shatter illusions of invincibility. The real story is far graver. That single drone illuminated a truth long masked: Russia's technological dominance is a fragile illusion. The burning power plant marks a turning point, a brutal reminder that vulnerabilities hide in plain sight. The narrative of unstoppable strength crumbles amidst rising smoke. Ukraine has delivered a clear message: even the most formidable shields are fallible. As Moscow flickers in the darkness, the once unassailable metropolis stands shaken. The security they relied upon has failed. The question now lingers: how will Russia respond to this new, harsh reality? Behind the Kremlin's fortress walls, secrets are hidden, and the true strength of Russia may have been revealed in the smoke and flames of Moscow's own backyard.